Hey guys, it's Kmcers whatever, and I'm Kirsten, and today's video I am bringing a new series on our channel called True Crime. So we're going to start with the very first case that we're going to work on is the Kennedy curse. Well, basically the first event is Rosa Mary Kennedy. In 1941, Rosa Mary had an intellectual disability, and she had very severe mood swings, and her dad, Joseph Sr., thought it would ruin their reputation by having a child like this, so he wanted to get a lobotomy performed. She had it performed, and because it was unsuccessful and it did not work, she was unable to walk and unable to speak very well. So this made them look even worse. So they put her in an institute where she stayed there until she died in 2005. Joseph P. Kennedy Jr. On August 12th of 1944, he had died. His plane exploded in World War II, so he died in action. Our next event is Kathleen Cavendish. And on May 13th of 1948, Kathleen died. She was in a plane crash in France. That would be Patrick Kennedy. August 9th of 1963, Patrick died of infant respiratory distress syndrome, and he died 2 days after he was prematurely birthed. But his birthday was the 20th anniversary of his father's World War II rescue. Jackie had to miss her son's funeral because she was still recovering from the C-section, which is very sad. I couldn't imagine losing my child and then not being able to go to the funeral. That would be terrifying and terrible, and you don't have so much of a saying goodbye in a way. But the next event that happened, which was a few months later, John F. Kennedy and the second son, and on November 22nd of 1963, he was assassinated in Dallas, Texas, and he was killed by Lee Harvey Oswald. And 2 days later, Oswald was shot by a guy named Jack Ruby. And in 1964, the Warren Commission concluded that Oswald acted alone. But in 1979, the HSACA concluded that Oswald did not act alone. And so there's this conspiracy out there that there could be more than one shooter with JFK. The next event that has happened was Ted Kennedy, which I believe his actual name is Edward. And on June 19th of 1964, he was involved in a plane crash. One of his aides, named Edward Moss, died at the hospital during a brain surgery that he was having because of this accident. And the pilot, Edwin Zimmy, died instantly from the crash, and Ted was pulled out. I don't know. But Ted spent several weeks in the hospital for a broken back, a punctured lung, broken ribs, and internal bleeding. But he did survive. And then in 2008, he was diagnosed with brain cancer, and 15 months later, on August 25th of 2009, he had passed away. He is Robert E. Kennedy, also known as Bobby Kennedy. On June 5th of 1968, he was assassinated by a guy named Sirhan. Sirhan pleaded guilty to the murder and is serving a life sentence because of it. The next event is Chappaquiddick incident. I'll put the words up here because I don't know how to pronounce it. But on July 18th of 1968, Ted Kennedy again accidentally drove his car off of a bridge on that island. His 28-year-old passenger was fatally trapped inside the car, and he couldn't get her out. So she died. He made it out. He pled guilty for leaving the crime scene of the accident, causing personal injury. But his TV appearance a week after that, he wondered if the fact that happened and everything that has happened, that there was maybe a curse on his family. Event that has happened is Joseph P. Kennedy II. And on August 13th of 1973, he was driving a Jeep, and that Jeep had crashed. And that crash had left his passenger, Pam Kelly, paralyzed. So the next event is David A. Kennedy. April 25th of 1984, he had died from a cocaine overdose, which happened in a hotel room in Palm Beach, Florida. He had overdosed on cocaine, so he passed away. The next event would be William Kennedy Smith. And on April 1st of 1991, he was arrested and charged with a rape of a young woman. The rape happened at the Kennedy estate in Florida. Initially, he was acquitted, so nothing happened after that. Michael Lemoy Kennedy. And on December 31st of 1997, Michael had died from a skiing accident. It happened in Aspen, Colorado. John F. Kennedy Jr. And on July 16th of 1999, he died in a plane crash that he was piloting. The crash happened into the Atlantic Ocean due to a pilot error and a spectral disorientation. And his wife, Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, and sister-in-law Lauren Bessette were also killed in that same plane crash. The next event that had happened is Cara Kennedy. On September 16th in 2011, she had died of a heart attack while she was exercising in Washington, D.C. at a health club, and she died at the age of 51. She suffered from lung cancer 9 years before that, and she had to have part of her right lung removed, and she recovered from that really well. What that happened would be Mary Richardson Kennedy. She is ex-wife to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And on May 16th of 2012, she committed suicide in her home in New York. But it is believed that she did this due to the fact that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. filed for divorce in 2010, and they had 4 children together and everything like that. So when she committed suicide, the case was still pending. The case hadn't even been solved. You know, they were still legally married at this time. They weren't even fully divorced, but she thought her only way out would be to commit suicide due to how much of a tragedy it was to lose her husband that she loved so much. The next event is Christopher Kennedy Lawford. So on September 4th of 2018, so just last year, Christopher had died from a heart attack. He was doing hot yoga at a yoga studio, and he died at age 63 of a heart attack. you wanted to check out more on this stuff, there is a couple books that were published, and I'm going to tell you what they are and put up a picture of them so you know what they look like. But the first one being The Kennedy Curse, Why Tragedy Has Haunted America's First Family for 150 Years by Edward Klein. That's one. And the other one is The Kennedy Curse Shattered, which is a compilation of the Kennedy Curse accounts by Les Williams. So if you wanted to check out more, those two books, I would recommend going and checking those out. I would also say if there's anything with this that you would want to know more about, I would just do your own research, find out what happened. And, well, that's gonna be it for this video and this true crime video. And if you like these videos, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you want to see more videos like this one and other ones with the other two in them. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.